So scrolling through hashtag Hawaii life, it doesn't seem like life has been that hard in Hawaii over the past year. I mean, yeah, the case counts have been high and I've heard some people lost their jobs, but according to how life in Hawaii is portrayed online, it seems like people are eating out every day, taking vacations to the mainland, and showing off their expensive new toys. And when this is what you see, you start to question yourself. How are others prospering at a time when me and my family are barely making it? So this video is for anyone who may be struggling in Hawaii, despite what your or other people's social media accounts may portray. My name is Chris and I'm a Hawaii YouTube content creator. And normally I make videos about life in Hawaii, but in this video, I just want to talk story to the people who are struggling out there and give 3 words of encouragement from things that I've struggled with and learned over the past year in Hawaii. Number 1, try chance them, because you never know. Or try new things because it may lead to new opportunities. So I started a new job at the end of last year, beginning of 2021, and that was a risk. It was similar work to what I had been doing for years, but it was still scary to make that change during such an uncertain time. And I also took a pay cut in the move, but I felt like it was the best career move for me and my family. And at the time, I remember wondering if this was the right thing to do because I felt scared. You know, we have bills to pay, I have a young son. And what happens if this doesn't work out? The real adjustment came with learning the new office culture, because I found that when you work at a place for a really long time, you and that work culture sometimes start blending together, and it was hard to unlearn the things that made me successful at my previous job so that I could then relearn things to help me succeed at my current job. And looking back, was it worth it? Did I make the right decision? And I would say yes. And it was because I was willing to try something new that led to new opportunities. One of the best things about my current job is the opportunity to work more from home. That opened up more time with family during this year, and with my son being 1 year old, going on 2, I was able to spend more time with him and help my wife at home. I mean, really, how many dads in Hawaii get a chance to stay home and watch their kid learn things day by day? You know, this year I was able to watch my son learn how to gradually go from mostly crawling all over the place to now running over the past year. I normally would have missed out on seeing him learn to jump or push the elevator button and all these different things that he can now do. But because I was able to work from home, I was able to see him learn and try and fail, but never give up and keep going. Everyone has to evaluate their own risk tolerance and what they're willing to risk in trying new things. A lot of what was stopping me was the internal fear. But when I got over all of the worst case scenarios in my mind, I went for it, and it turned out to be really great. And of course, I couldn't have done it without my wife's support, so I'm really thankful for that. All that to say, now may be the time to leave a job, go back to school, change careers, or even start a YouTube channel. Number 2, no shame for let go, or letting go of things doesn't mean failure. I'm sure you've heard the famous quote by legendary football coach Vince Lombardi: winners never quit and quitters never win. And sometimes letting go can feel like quitting, letting go of goals or dreams or things we expect out of life. But I think quitting and being okay with letting go of something are distinctly different. This was a tough lesson for me to learn this year in 2 ways. The first was in not being able to find a new place to live by 2021. I'd personally hoped to move into a new place by the end of the year. Obviously, that didn't happen. And as I kept seeing the housing prices in Hawaii continue to rise, it felt like that dream, that goal was creeping further and further away. And meanwhile, I'm seeing some people come in and purchasing homes at really high prices, and I'm happy for them. But at the same time, I'm like dying a little inside because it was something that I really wanted to happen for our family. And with a couple more days left in this year, I'm just about reaching that point where I'm okay in letting it go. You know, growing up in Hawaii, I thought that if I did all the right things, like do good in school, graduate from college, and find a job, I'd be able to live comfortably in Hawaii. But that's not how things are they? So while it is hard to let go of that, I'm reminded to be thankful for where we are and what we have. And that's all I can really do at this point. And not finding a new place by the end of the year doesn't mean that we failed or that I failed. It's just not the right time for us. And the second thing I've learned to let go was not running in the Honolulu Marathon this year. I originally signed up for the 2021 Honolulu Marathon, and it was going to be my first real race, but I ended up switching to the virtual race. It was one of my goals this year to run in it, to be at the starting line with the fireworks and hopefully make it to the end and get the malasada and the finisher t-shirt, but that wasn't the race for me this year. You know, it's like where we live, we can see the runners, you know, that participate in the marathon, and as I watched them run by, I felt a little bit sad because, you know, I want to be part of the race on race day, and instead I had to participate in a different way. And I happened to run the same 26.2 miles over the course of several days, but it just wasn't the same. And I was frustrated that I couldn't participate, and it was nobody's fault. You know, the race was open and there weren't really any restrictions, but I thought it was the best decision for my family. And similar to not buying a new place this year, maybe the timing just wasn't right for me to run in the marathon. But there will be one next year, and the year after that, and maybe that's when I could try. I know that other people were denied more important life events than the prospect of buying a house or running in a race, but that disappointment is still there. But what I'm kind of discovering is that on the other side of that disappointment is a glimmer of another chance. And it gives me something to look forward to in the future. Number 3, you stay running for you, so no rush, okay? Or everyone is running their own race. One of the things I've learned about running over the years is that it's really against yourself. You know, it's such a mental exercise to see if you can push your body past what it thinks it can do. And so unless you're an elite runner, you're really just competing against yourself in your own race. And during the past year, it became very apparent that this applies to more than just running, and it applies to a lot of different aspects in life. We're all running our own race. Maybe some people get 70 something years, some people get less. And if we continuously look at other people to judge ourselves and how we're doing in our own race, given our unique circumstances, we miss out on the joy of personal growth and development and accomplishments in our own life. And I get that this comparison game became extremely challenging because of the restrictions on in-person gatherings and social distancing rules. So oftentimes the only way to interact with others was through social media, which, as we know, isn't the most transparent portrayal of people's lives. Sometimes it seems like there's this rush to accomplish everything as soon as possible. You know, gotta buy a nice house now, gotta make the big bucks now. But I wonder why. Like, why now, as if we don't have a lot more time? Like, it's kind of like when you drive down Likelike Highway from Kaneohe to Honolulu. You know, you see these guys speeding and weaving in and out of traffic, and they're just like such in a rush. And then you get to the bottom of the hill in Kalihi, and there's that traffic light. And then you're 2 cars behind them, and you're just wondering, why did they rush so much? You know, it's like it's this weird comical irony. And so I'm in my late 30s. I don't know what I'm supposed to have accomplished at this point in my life. But when I think about it, it seems like I should have everything. A wife and kid, my own place, a good job, a car, and a whole bunch of just stuff, right? But it's just never gonna be enough. And so I'm learning to see where I am and just to keep going. You know, try not to look on with envious gazes at everyone else. You know, just be confident that I'm where I'm supposed to be, and where I currently am is not where I'm gonna be forever. And so I hope that these 3 things provided some encouragement to you at this time of the year, especially this time of the year. And please don't think that I've somehow figured everything out, because I haven't. The rising costs, the increasing housing prices, endless traffic, and really stress of an uncertain identity of where exactly Hawaii is going. These are just some of the things that linger in my mind at night. You know, can we afford a place to move so my son can have his own bedroom? How do we keep up with inflation? And when can we get back to how things used to be in Hawaii? And if you think these same thoughts, just know that you're not alone. I think everyone feels it. You know, even those people who are financially secure. For now. And yet I don't know why a lot of people don't talk about it, almost like conveniently ignoring this rising tide of anxiety and hoping that it never breaches the top of the wall until maybe they've had enough and decide to move away. Like a lot of other young families, we've had that conversation. about moving away, just selling our place and moving somewhere cheaper where we could have a large house and a big yard. And there's always that option, but until we get to that breaking point, we're gonna keep trying to make it work here. As hard as it can be, we're gonna try. Due to the events of the past couple of years, a lot of the weaknesses of the state were exposed. Our economy suffered and many people lost their jobs. Lives were changed, families were broken, communities were fragmented, and that closeness that held our culture together was put on pause. But despite all of these challenges, you and me, we're still here. Living in Hawaii is such a privilege, like it really is. And for those of us who grew up here, maybe we take it for granted. The beautiful scenery, the wonderful weather, and the friendliness of the people. So I say, let's hope in Hawaii. And hope doesn't mean trust. Instead, I think it means to look to a brighter day in Hawaii where things get better. And not just better for a few of the privileged or elite, but for everyone here in Hawaii. So have a safe new year. Thanks for watching, and aloha.
Hello.